here's the third story. Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between the 2 sons. And a few days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. He probably went to Vegas. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and he hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough to spare? And here I am, dying of hunger. I will get up and I will go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' And so he set off, and he went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. And he ran and he put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quickly, bring out the robe, the best one, and put it on him, and put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, and get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and let us celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again, and he was lost and is now found.' And they began to celebrate. Now, his elder son was in the field. And when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the slaves and he asked what was going on. And he replied, 'Well, your brother has come and your father has killed the fatted calf because he's got him back safe and sound.' Well, then he became angry and he refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I have been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours.' But we had to celebrate. We had to rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead, and he's come to life. He was lost and has been found." Thus ends the reading of the word. Now, you've all heard that story before, I'm sure, and you've all heard it called the story of the prodigal son. It should be called the story of the loving father. It should be called the story of the man who loved 2 sons. Not the story of the prodigal son, because then you start focusing on that young boy. You start focusing on that young man, and this isn't a story about him. This is a story about his father. This is the story about the one who would search for the one that was lost. In this story, many of us would sit there and describe this son as ungrateful. What he does is, before his father dies, he goes to his father and he says, I know I'm supposed to get a third of the estate when you die, but I want it now. And his father grants it to him, grants him the money, and he goes and he has not an ounce of common sense. Doesn't even know about setting up an IRA. You know, he just spends every single last dime, and then he's in the pits. And it's when he has absolutely nothing, when he is at the lowest point of his life, when he cannot even find food to eat, when the only thing available to him is what the hogs in the pig trough eat, the garbage, the carrot pods. When that begins to look appetizing, he knows that he has hit rock bottom. And he says to himself, well, my father's hired hands to do better than this. They don't even eat this kind of slop. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to my father. In the text, Luke tells us that he came to himself, and he practiced a speech that he was going to give to his father when he got home. And the speech that he practiced was, I'm a rotten kid, I apologize, forgive me, I never should have left, I have sinned against you, and I have sinned against heaven. John Wesley talks to us about something called prevenient grace. And I describe that to you as being even before grace. It's the grace that's even before. This story is about even before grace. This story is about the father who watches the horizon perhaps every day, or who has been out looking like the shepherd and the woman with the lost coin, looking and looking to find his son again. And on the day that he sees the silhouette of the young man coming down the road, he's not standing there waiting with open arms. He's the even before God. He is the metaphor for the God of even before. Before the young man gets to him. Before the young man can even open his mouth. This is the God who is running toward the boy and throwing himself on his neck, kissing him and hugging him. Before there is any begging for forgiveness, before there is any moment of repentance in his presence, this is the God of even before, who is so delighted and so glad to see him that the boy doesn't really have to speak or say anything. He's not even paying attention to him when he is. He's not even paying attention